After what Alabama did to Georgia on Saturday night, I think there's a very real case to be made for the Crimson Tide offense to be the toughest to stop in all of college football. We'll talk about that right now. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're a college football sicko, make sure you're subscribed right here. This is college football the way that you want it talked about. Not the hot takes, not the clickbait, not the traffic, just college football by college football sickos for college football sickos. So we appreciate y'all being dialed in. As I was saying, I think Alabama has a case to be the most difficult offense to deal with in all of the sport. Now, what I did not say there is I did not say Alabama is going to lead all of college football in scoring. That might end up happening, but I don't think that's really what we should be looking at here when we talk about the difficulty with stopping Alabama's offense. What I think Alabama has going for them from the jump here is the man in charge of the plan, Kalen DeBoer, is always going to put this unit in position to be successful. Sounds kind of simplistic. Sounds like we're just saying Kalen DeBoer's a great OC. He's a great offensive mind. I understand he's not actually the OC, but this is his offense, just so we're on the same page here. You could tell watching that game, Alabama was a step ahead of Georgia going into it. All right, the second half we'll talk about a little bit too, but like Georgia was very obvious. They wanted to try and get after Milroe, try and apply some pressure in that first half. And Jalen Milroe, credit to him, but also credit Kalen DeBoer for having him prepared. They had answer after answer after answer. And that's a microcosm of what I believe to be true about Alabama. There will not be a situation where they are out game planned. And let me tell you this, Georgia on the other side of that thing, defensively, Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, T-Rob, like that, those are some defensive minds now that are the best this sport has to offer. So it wasn't like Kalen DeBoer had a leg up on some lackluster coaching staff. That is, I think, again, the best the sport has to offer, and they gave them fits from the jump. So that's one part of this. The other part of this is we try and talk about the actual X's and O's a little bit here, and I want to be clear, I'm not in the building in Tuscaloosa. I don't have, inside information here. I'm just calling it how I see it. You could tell the movement that Kalen DeBoer presented pre-snap gave Georgia problems. You can look at what Kalen DeBoer did at Washington. You go back and check our videos from the summer. This is something we talked about. The way that they adjust right before the snap, whether it be a motion, whether it be a shift with the receivers formationally, that causes the defense to have to hit the reset button. Hey, we change what we're doing. You have to change, or at least change the alignment of what you're doing. And when that happens, you're a little bit out of sorts. There is a greater percentage chance for us as an offense to catch you out of position. If you're out of position against Jalen Milroe, God bless you. God bless your heart, if you catch my drift there. Also, I'll say this, Kalen DeBoer has adjusted to his personnel extremely well. And that was kind of the question when he got the job from Washington was, okay, hey, Michael Penix Jr., good athlete, Jalen Milroe, Avenger. How is this going to work? I mean, we said this multiple times. Kalen DeBoer, historically, has thrown the football 40 times a game. Jalen Milroe, going into this season, Alabama's offense threw the ball right around 23 times a game. Doesn't look like this is going to work. It doesn't look like it's going to necessarily be a smooth transition. Kalen DeBoer pivots his offensive scheme. Not pivots his scheme, but pivots to his personnel. And let me say this, too. You know how I can tell that Kalen DeBoer is playing to his personnel? Every single player on this Alabama roster offensively that was on this team a year ago, no shade to the previous regime or previous offensive coordinator, everyone is playing better. Like Jalen Milroe is the most visible example of that, but look at Kendrick Law. Look at Justice Haynes. I mean, look across the board here. Everybody on this Alabama offense looks more comfortable, looks more confident. Some of that comes with experience. Some of that comes with your coach believing in you. And I think a lot of that comes with the scheme tailoring itself to the personnel. Georgia has not been given 41 points since the 2021 SEC title game. Yeah, it was Alabama team. It was also a Bryce Young quarterback team who won the Heisman Trophy that year. So I'm just trying to say here now, like what we saw against Georgia, I think was very, very real. Staying in that whole schematic world and strategic conversation, Jalen Milroe was an absolute chess piece, and you saw that against Georgia in a very real, very visible way. When he is on throwing the football, and just so we're on the same page, I think he's going to be on a lot of this season. I don't think you're going to see inconsistent Jalen Milroe. I mean, I think everybody has good games and bad games, but when he is on throwing the football, they are borderline impossible to defend. Because at that point, as a defense, you have to make a decision. Do we want to commit resources to trying to account for the run with Jalen Milroe in that Alabama backfield, which will probably tear you up if you don't, or do we want to commit resources to playing against the pass game? Jalen Milroe went for 374 against Georgia. A big reason why Ryan Williams is going to win his matchup. I want to highlight him because he went bonkers in this game, had over 170 yards, had that, SportsCenter top 10 play where he makes a couple defenders miss and bump into each other as he spins mid. It was ridiculous. It was otherworldly kind of stuff. The point, going back to what I was saying here, if you don't give proper attention to the pass game, and that's your own call, Jalen Milroe will then tear you up because you have less numbers to defend the run. You have less numbers. Put it simply, there's more space for my guy to work. You give Jalen Milroe space, you're losing that matchup. Okay, so they put you in so much conflict, making you decide what do you want to account for. And when you try to account for it, you're playing matchup football, whether it be up front against Milroe in space or it be on the perimeter against Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law. Kendrick Law, man, didn't light up the stat sheet against Georgia. You go back and watch that game. This is how I know Alabama's still going to be a physical, run-the-football kind of team. Kendrick Law is out there blocking his tail off on the perimeter. Jet sweep, outside runs, doesn't matter. When he locks onto his defender, whether it be a safety or a corner, whoever it is, he is driving them all the way through the echo of the whistle. If your receivers are blocking like that, I promise you, your running backs block like that. Your linemen definitely block like that. That's an attitude thing. That's an edge thing. That's a culture thing. That is a we are going to run the football kind of thing from Kalen DeBoer, which some folks now, when they look at the numbers that he had throwing the football at Washington, they're like, oh, he wants to be finesse. He wants to air it out. No. Personnel, attitude, edge, they want to run the football. They will still run the football at Alabama. And Jalen Milroe had over 100 yards. Justice Haynes, while he didn't have nearly as many yards and nearly as many carries, he still averaged right around 6 yards a carry. Like, it is going to be, I think, potluck style here from Alabama going forward in any given game. It might be Milroe in games against Georgia where he gets, the bulk of the carries. It might be Justice Haynes the next week. You never know who's going to be getting the carries, and I think that's something that we got to talk about when we talk about Alabama here going forward. Now, the big pushback, I promise, the number one comment that is anti-Alabama we're going to get on this video. I'll tell you right now. Well, look at the second half. Alabama didn't look that tough to stop in the second half, did they, JD? I hear you. I don't think that's an unfair point, but I would also say this. Who was on the other sideline? Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann? Okay, we already established some of the best the sport has to offer. Some of this you just charge it to the game and you say, you know what, man, that was a great chess game. Bama got the jump. Bama probably played, I don't think they took their foot off the gas in the second half, much like some folks would lead you to believe. I think Georgia just came out with a better plan, adjusted well. Kirby Smart's got 2 national titles to his name for a reason, and it is what it is, man. If the game had played another 2 quarters, I bet we would have seen Bama adjust some more. It would have been just this consistent cat and mouse game. And also, let's not act like Alabama didn't make a play offensively to regain the lead, to win the football game. Okay, so I understand the defense ended up stepping up and ended up making that interception to win the darn game, hat tip Xavier Brown, but let's not act like Kalen DeBoer somehow was just taken to the cleaners in the second half. Game flow changes a little bit. Again, I don't think he took his foot off the gas, but to say that they're, not going to be a force or they deserve to be, somehow talked down to because of the way they played in that second half, give me a break, man. Scored 41 on Georgia. And again, made a big explosive play to end up winning the football game. So I hope we see this game again. As a college football fan, I hope that we get this matchup between Smart and DeBoer and their staffs and their this is everything that gets you fired up about college football, is seeing Bama and Georgia, 2 of the best rosters in the sport, 2 of the best coaches in the sport, getting after it. I'll add this too. I don't think either one of those teams is the final product. Since we're talking about Bama's offense, they got more in the tank here. They got a lot more in the clip. I have to believe that. They showed a lot of it against Georgia, but as they evolve, as they adjust, they're going to continue to put teams in conflict. All right, one more thing I'll say. The chess piece that Milroe is, you see them go empty so often. What is an empty look? A passing look, right? Hey, pass, align to the receivers, align to a certain formation. You're playing the pass when you align an empty. Alabama is able to gash you and run essentially a very effective run play, a very effective run play with Jalen Milroe getting downhill out of empty. It breaks your rules. It puts you in conflict. And again, I think there's more counters off of that as they evolve and as they become more of a force throughout this season. So for me, Alabama, they may not put up the best numbers out of everyone in the sport, in some part because they play in the SEC, but I think they have a case to be made for the toughest offense to stop in all of college football. Let me know what you think. Instagram, Twitter, at JD Get at me on there. DM me, tweet at me, whatever you want to do there. I want to hear from y'all, but I think Alabama is a wagon offensively, and the personnel, the guy calling the show, all of it, man. We appreciate y'all being subscribed. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.